Hi guys, so I'm doing a second video today just because with all this time I spent up north today, I decided to take today as a me day and just kind of unwind and stuff. But a video I've wanted to do for a while since I made my story video. I wanted to kind of touch base with you guys about how I'm keeping sober, some of the struggles that I deal with daily, because I guess I kind of seemed like it's a little bed and roses for me. After watching my video, I was like, oh, well, there's definitely a lot more to it than now I'm just happy all of a sudden. It is definitely a struggle. A lot of people don't know what goes on in my life on a day-to-day, clearly, especially nowadays, because I tend to keep to myself a lot. But I do struggle with some mental illness. You know, I'm not 100% okay. Been through a lot, and clearly it's affected my mind a little bit. So I struggle with OCD and ADHD, which means my brain literally never stops ticking. There is always something going on upstairs. It never, ever stops. Perfect example of something that just ate away at me until I went and dealt with it is my son's father on Friday night got shot. I try so hard to really, you know, I not care about this guy, because in all honesty, his life's a disaster. He's, you know, he's in a tough place in his life, but it is somewhere that I have been before and I know way too well. And so when all that happened on Friday night, I got the messages first thing Saturday morning telling me, you know, nobody knew what happened to him, to go look and figure out what's wrong. So anyways, I got a hold of his mom. We figured out where he was, what happened, and so on. And so we knew he was in the hospital in Sudbury. Now, that being said, nobody wanted to go and be with him. Well, his mother, in a very understanding way, was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, he's drained every ounce of anything I have left to give him. He's, you know, because he's a drug addict. What do drug addicts do? They use people until they can't be used anymore. And unfortunate for him, his mother is feeling that more than anybody right now. And so I understand why she didn't go up there. You know, she's, and plus it's a long fucking drive. She's like 8 hours away. His brother was, you know, pretty much the same position. Nobody really wanted to go up there. And I remember when I was going through my shit, you know, I always had my dad. It did not matter if I didn't speak to my dad for 10 years and I called him and said, Dad, I fucking need you right now. He was there. Didn't matter if he had to sleep in his fucking truck for a week and drive for 10 days. He was fucking there for me. I remember when I took a whole bottle of muscle relaxers while I was drunk one night. I ended up in the hospital. I don't even know what happened. And I woke up and the first face that I seen was my daddy. And I'm like, what in the serious fuck happened now? Why am I in the hospital? Why are you here? What the fuck is going on? But anyways, long story short, I didn't want to leave my son's dad, Chris. So I don't have to keep saying my son's dad. But I couldn't leave Chris up there by himself. It honestly ate my brain. That's where I was going with this. So, like, my OCD, ADHD is, you know, my brain is go, 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 go. OCD is, I get thoughts in my head and they just fucking replay constantly. It keeps me up at night. If I'm having any sort of, like, family issues, if I run into a problem that I can't solve, I will dissect the fuck out of things in my head, to the point where I'll go 7 days without sleeping, which then in turn leads to my insomnia that I have, so I don't sleep. So I don't sleep, and I'm struggling with OCD, ADHD, which then in turn had me up in Sudbury by fucking Monday afternoon, because I could not stop thinking about how Chris must feel in that bed with his fucking leg shot up and all by himself. You know what I mean? It's got to be fucking scary. Like, I know I was in the hospital for way less serious things, and it was scary, and I was released the next day. This guy's got a long road to recovery. He's had 4 surgeries, I think, now. We stayed up there with him until his surgeries were done, but, like, I have a life, I have a family, I have children. I can't be tending to his every need, but we were there to be there for him as much as we could, and then we had to come home. My son actually came up with me. He didn't want to go originally, and then it ate away. So I talked to my son Xavier on Sunday, and I was like, look, you know, if you want to go up there and see Dad and be there for him, I will bring you up there. He looked at me and said, no, Mom, I don't want to go. And he has every fucking reason to not want to go, because his father has not been there for him at all, not done anything productive for him almost his whole entire life. So, you know, it was totally understandable. But then there's my crazy brain. I didn't sleep all night Sunday night. I went to work Monday morning. I went and did this girl's hair. And I came home, and my son came home for lunch from school. And I had talked to my husband, who is the awesomest man ever and the most understanding dude on the planet. And I was like, look, you know what? I can't leave this guy up there by himself. I'm going to go up alone. I have to, because I'm going crazy. And he knows how my brain is. He knows that even if he said no, it wasn't going to work. But, you know, he didn't even question the fact that I wanted to go up there alone. He was just like, all right, man, go do what you got to do. And that was the end of that. So my son was home from lunch at school, and I was like, you know what, dude, I can't leave Dad up there by himself. I'm going to go see him. And I was like, you don't have to come with me. I understand why you don't want to go. That's not what I'm telling you. I'm going up. And then he went and got himself something to eat, and he came back in the living room and was like, you know what, Mom, can I go with you? And I was like, yeah, let's pack her up and we're heading out. So that's what we did. But, yeah, so struggling with a brain that does this to you is not an easy task. My doctors had me on a wide range of medications trying to just get me to sleep at night. So nothing was really working. They had me on Seroquel for about a year, which I then found out was for fucking people with schizophrenia, because I started actually losing my fucking mind. I was coming up with scenarios in my head that were just fucked. And this, I'm clean and sober, and, you know, taking a drug like Seroquel that's going to fuck with my head anyways was kind of defeating the purpose, because I was trying not to be crazy anymore, and that shit just made me crazy. So I ended up stopping taking it cold turkey. I went from actually 50 milligrams when they started me on it to 500 milligrams within 4 months. And after I started kind of realizing that, you know, these things that I was thinking in my head, like, don't even stand the chance of being anywhere close to reality. Like, I was, and Ryan was just like, what is going on with you? Like, you're not okay. And I'm like, I don't fucking know. I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind. And I don't even know how he stayed with me through all of it, because I was honestly a fucking basket case. I was happy, I was sad, I was miserable. I thought he was cheating on me. I thought he was, he couldn't touch his phone without me going totally ballistic. Like, it was fucking nutty. Nutty, nutty, nutty. So I finally I did a lot of research on this shit, and I was just like, yeah, done. Done like dinner. I am not doing this shit. So I stopped taking it, and I ended up going to the hospital a couple days after, because I was getting heart palpitations, I think it's called. Because apparently you're not supposed to quit taking a drug like Seroquel cold turkey. You're supposed to wean yourself off of it. I didn't know that. So I spent some time in the hospital hooked up to EKG machines, and they were doing all sorts of testing. And then they tried to give me Seroquel again. I was like, are you fucked? This has been like 3 days. The worst part of this is over. You are not giving me, I don't care how low of a dose of this shit. It's done. It's done. You need to do whatever the fuck it is that you're doing right now, because you ain't putting anything else like that in me. I am done with that shit. So I got out of the hospital, and I decided I was going to go for medical marijuana. So I went through Apollo, which is a place, sorry, my phone wigged out, a place in Toronto. So it cost me $30. I got my referral papers, got my shrink who had me on Seroquel to sign my referral papers, and now I use medical marijuana. It does not cure all my issues. I get probably about 4, maybe 5 hours of good solid sleep a night. It does help a little bit with my OCD and just like slowing my brain down. It doesn't necessarily stop it, but it brings it to a functional level for me, if that makes sense. Like I can deal with it. There's things that, you know, conversations that I have with myself and little, you know, things that I've learned over the years to just kind of help me cope with things. Like, you know, if my house is a mess, then, you know, before that would fucking make me insane. Like, insane to the point where I'm yelling and screaming and losing my shit on everybody in the house because there's, like, hair on my table. Ah! First world problems, right? But, so there's little things that I've learned to do with myself along the way that kind of help me cope with my crazy fucking brain. But yeah, it is definitely not easy. After I filmed my story video, I actually went into a very, very, very dark corner of my brain that I have not been into for a really long time. That video fucked me up on more levels than I could ever understand. That's why, see, like, I have never done the whole NA or AA thing because for me, it makes me feel like I want to use more. Like, people say you need to talk about it, you need to do this, you need to do that. Well, maybe that works for some people, but like, not me. Like, after I did that video, oh my God, there was probably a good week or so that I was struggling in my own head. I hadn't said anything to anybody. And then one day I'm sitting here and I'm making extensions and I was watching Intervention, and it was probably about 5 days, 6 days after I did the video. And there's a guy who's literally living in a box doing heroin. And I'm looking at him thinking, like, that looks like a good time. The fuck is the matter with you? You know what I mean? And everything and I hate heroin. From the minute that I was done with that shit, I have never, ever, ever had another thought about it again. Ever again. Sorry, my phone winked out again. So, for me, these thoughts were even surprising. Like, I couldn't understand why now, after so long, because I've been clean off heroin for, oh my God, probably 10 years, I'd say. Like, probably 10 years. Yeah, at least 10 years. So, for these thoughts to come back all of a sudden was just like, what in the fuck is going on? Like, I was already really sad and really depressed and really thinking about using and all that stuff, but I'm able to talk myself out of it in a way. Like, I don't know, I've learned to, you know, kind of, I don't even know how to explain this, to deter my thoughts, I guess, to turn them around. But this time was just like, I don't fucking understand where this is coming from, and I'm like, I need to fucking figure something out to change this, because this is what happens, and then my life turns into a shit show again. And I was like, I can't do this to my kid again. If anything, I can't, like, there's no fucking way in hell that I can let this happen. But it was that non-stop nagging fucking thoughts in the back of my head that I just couldn't let go of. So finally, I was sitting here watching Intervention, crying, holding my dog for like 2.5 hours the one day. And then I finally messaged my husband, who was at work, and I'm like, yo, I don't know how to deal with this anymore. I'm scared. This is what I've been thinking for the last week. I don't know how to stop it. It's not going away. I'm not sleeping. Now I'm sitting here like a literal fucking basket case, bawling my eyes out for I don't even know what reason. I don't know what the fuck's going on. And he was like, well, I can come home, or I can, you know, I was like, what are you going to do? Sit here and fucking watch me cry? Like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. So anyways, and then I go smoke a joint, and then I was, you know, it gets rid of it a little bit for me, and it makes it a little bit easier to deal with. But yeah, it took me probably 2 weeks to get over making that video after, because I had to rewatch it after I filmed it. Filming it wasn't the hard part. It was watching it again afterwards that, you know, watching everything all together. And I don't know what it really did to me, but it just fucked my brain like good. So smoked a lot of weed that week. But it helps me. It honestly, it really, 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 really helps me just slow my brain down. And then not to mention just dealing with everyday life and like kids and teenagers and growing up and trying to be a mom and, you know, and then my husband and trying to understand some of the shit he does sometimes. And it's just, you know, it's everyday struggles that everybody goes through. Just my brain kind of amplifies it by 1,000. So, like, say your kid's getting C's in school. Well, I'm going to think of ways to stop my child from having C's and move them up to B's and A's. And I've got to figure out a way to make this happen, to make him happy, to make him want to learn to... And I will not stop fucking thinking about that until I come up with a solution, which is, you know, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, because I am by far not a stupid human. Where there's a will, there's a way, and if there's a way, I will find it when it comes to just about anything, which, you know, I'm 100% thankful for. And that's another reason why I didn't like the Seroquel, because it numbed all of that. Like, I had no creativity, I had no thought process, I had no nothing. Especially taking 500 milligrams of that stuff, I didn't even know myself anymore. I was like a walking, talking, miserable fucking zombie. So it was like, it wasn't easy. And then, yeah, then coming back to being my regular brain self and trying to cope, I couldn't do that either, because then I don't sleep, I don't eat, I don't fucking, like, my thoughts just literally consume me. And I can't live like that either. So, thanks to my husband, I decided, you know, okay, whatever, I'm gonna, like, weed's gonna cure me. Like, I fucking smoked that shit when I was a teenager, and then I quit because I found better stuff. And, you know, I moved on to bigger, badder things. And then, yeah, so anyway, so then I started smoking weed again and quit everything else. And honestly, marijuana has changed my fucking world. Now, when I start getting into any kind of, when I see myself starting to get consumed by, you know, even if it's the smallest thing, like, when is Carly coming home after school, or is she going to her grandma's? That will eat me alive. Like, why? Why? Are you fucking, like... So I'll just go smoke a little roach or go smoke it, and I'll sit down, and then I have my little conversations in my head with myself. But it is honestly an ongoing battle. But the more that I deal with it face first, instead of trying to mask it all with medication, instead of, you know, trying to act like it's not there, I have been facing it face forward and just dealing with it the best way that I can, which is, you know, I think it's working for me. You know what I mean? When I get these thoughts, I deal with them one at a time in my own head. I know it's fucked up. I'm sitting here telling YouTube that I talk to myself on the regular. I do have my own, I'm my own best friend, I'm telling you. The shit that goes on in my brain is so fucking wild. But for the most part now is positive stuff, like I said. Unless it's been like, that whole video making thing, and then my son's dad, and, you know, stressful situations for me are probably times 1,000 compared to what it would be for a regular person. Things just... you know, they tend to eat at me, and I have a huge heart, and it's hard for me to watch people suffer. It's hard for me to get mad at people. It's hard for me when people get mad at me. Oh my God. When somebody is upset with me, like, I try and act like I'm the tough chick and this and that. It will eat at me for months and months and months and months and months. Sometimes years. I'll be thinking about somebody that was mad at me 5 years ago and wondering if there was anything I could have done to avoid it, or, you know, why were they really mad at me? Was it really me, or was it, you know, like, I will dissect the fucking shit out of it. Like, it's frustrating, and I'm still learning on how to, you know, deal with that and try and calm those thoughts. And some are worse than others. Some are, you know what I mean? So it's a constant battle, but marijuana has definitely helped me with that. Yeah. So for anybody that thinks that I'm just sober and happy all the time and life is great, and no, it is not. It is a daily struggle that I am just learning to deal with. But like I said, facing it face forward and, you know, just dealing with it one thought at a time and trying to not let the world get the best of me is all I can do right now. And so that's what I've been doing. And yeah, I don't know. I definitely not going to be doing any more story videos or talking about my shit all that much, unless it's just for like shits and giggles, because putting myself back into that place was not a healthy move on my part. And I know that now, so I am that much more the wiser. So yeah, I just wanted to do a little bit of a follow-up video on how I deal with my mental illness and my sobriety. Some of you might not think that using marijuana makes me sober, but in my opinion, it does. And if it wasn't for marijuana, I would still be doing much, much worse things. I don't think I would have been able to stay away from alcohol, which then put me into the hands of heroin, cocaine, and whatever the fuck else I could get my hands on. So, thank you, marijuana. I will be forever grateful for you helping save my life. Because life has definitely been much simpler since I've stopped everything else and picked up my green stuff again. So yeah, that is my update on how I am surviving with mental illness and sobriety. It's not easy, but if I can do it, I think anybody can do it, because this crazy brain shit ain't no joke. So yeah, like I said, I'll get a thought, and that's what used to put me back into using all the time, is just my thoughts. I would think about, I want to do another hit, and then that's all I think about until I have it. And I will go to any extent to get it, and that's just how it's always been. And I was the same way when I used drugs. It was, you know, if there was a will, there was a way. If there was a way, I was going to find it, and I was going to get it. And, you know, that's what led to my demise, and almost in the end, you know what I mean? Like, so nowadays I use all those skills for positive things, and I put my energy towards positiveness and stay away from all the nasty and try to keep myself under wraps. It's not always a walk in the park, but I'm making it work, and that's all that matters. And my life is a much happier place now because of it. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say today. Mental illness and sobriety ain't easy, but it works. And thank you, marijuana. Anyways, bye guys.